Hello there, YouTube. This is the Handsome Crayon again, back with the second chapter of this fan fiction reading. So, without further ado, let's begin. This is Graphs by Mozzarella, Chapter 2. I showed him off. Quote, "The awesome is not in the sky. The awesome is in the dash." End quote. Twilight, what's going on? Rainbow Dash stood over her look-alike's unconscious body. Spike was placing a wet cloth on Blitz's head, and Twilight was nose-deep in her textbook. "Hold on. I gotta find the spell she used," Twilight shouted back. "Spike, check his vitals." The dragon grimaced, wishing he had paid more attention to Twilight's first aid lesson. He's breathing. That's good, right?" He looked at her hopefully, but she was still flipping through the book. "And his heart rate?" Spike began to panic. Was medic in the job description of #1 assistant? He fumbled with his hands, trying to find where the pony's heart rate was, when something thumped in the Pegasus's jaw. It's going like but-ump, but-ump, but-ump." He poorly mimicked the sound of a beating heart, emphasizing each beat with the wave of his claws. The unicorn sighed. "Spike, you are so reading a medical book when this is over." "All right, I guess that sounds okay." Rainbow Dash was suddenly upon her. "Ponies seem to like getting in Twilight's grill, "Okay, he passed out on the floor, and you said it sounds okay?" Her voice cracked a bit higher than usual. She wore a look of concern one rarely saw on that particular Pegasus. "Settle down, Rainbow. Here, let me take a look." She picked up Spike and pushed him aside. "I should have done this in the first place." The unicorn kneeled down and placed her horn near Blitz's muzzle. A purple glow covered her horn and then Blitz. She clenched her teeth as she struggled to maintain the spell. "I'm not really all that familiar with this one." Meanwhile, Spike and Rainbow Dash gave Twilight some space. Spike turned to Dash to speak, but found her to be covered in the same aura as Blitz. "Whoa, Twilight, how are you doing that to both of them?" 3 ponies were in the room. One was unconscious, so he couldn't talk. One was performing an advanced medical examination spell, so she wasn't about to answer Spike. The one that was actually the subject of Spike's inquiry also did not endeavor to acknowledge the dragon, despite having glow surround her for no apparent reason. Rainbow Dash had her mind on other things. "Why am I so worried about him? I just met him." Blitz stirred with a pained expression on his face, but quickly relaxed. The fell spading, and Twilight soon followed Blitz as she fell to the floor from exhaustion. Dash quickly got up to help her friend. "Is he all right?" Twilight took a moment to catch her breath. "Yeah, I think he's fine now. He's just sleeping, and he's probably not a changeling, so we should let him rest for a bit." Dash released a breath she forgot she was holding and stared down at her clone. I'm gonna go look into that duplication spell a bit more. Spike, why don't you get lunch started?" They went about their business, leaving Dash and Blitz alone. He lied peacefully on the floor, except for the occasional movement of the eyes. "What's going on in there?" she thought. "And why do I care? And just what are the elements of harmony? And how did you know about Nightmare Moon, huh? Are you a spy?" Words came out of Blitz's mouth without his consent. "What's going on?" He felt a tug on his tail, and Applejack stepped in front of his vision and took over the questioning. How do I know her name? And there's Rarity. That one is Pinky and Fluttershy." He was now in a dark forest with the rest of the ponies. "We have to save Celestia. Nightmare Moon. Shadow Bolts. Loyalty." An unexpected wall of water filled his nostrils and choked him back into consciousness. He shook his head and opened his eyes. Rainbow Dash and Spike stood over him with a bucket. Spike turned to Twilight behind him. "He's awake." "Good," she replied. "We can cross Clone Comb off the list. That one didn't really make sense anyway." "Twilight, we need to go now. Celestia's in trouble! Where are the elements? Blitz jumped into the air and circled the room just under Mach 1. A strong wind filled the library. He did about 30 laps before being tackled by his fellow Rainbow Pegasus. They tumbled onto the floor and came to a stop with Dash on top. Calm down, Blitz. We're all here. Celestia's fine. But I just saw it. Eternal Night. The Manticore. He ran through the memories in his head. Lo and behold, it did all turn out to be fine. He let out a relieved sigh. Twilight walked over. That sounds a lot like the night Nightmare Moon came. Dash smiled and looked at him. Hey, I thought you couldn't remember anything. He began to rub his eyes. Can I never do that again? My head hurts. So, do you know all about that night now? He groaned. I can't think right now. Visions hurt. He opened his eyes and was met with two magenta orbs that rendered him incapable of thought. The pain melted away. Wow. Talk about easy on the eyes, am I right? Huh? Any pony? Is this thing on? They stayed like that for a while before Spike coughed and noticed their compromising position. They quickly scrambled off of each other and stood awkwardly in front of the dragon. Twilight was back to one of her books, ignoring the Pegasi. Well, it seems like you just flashed back to one of Rainbow Dash's memories when you saw me the same way she did that night. What else do you remember? Blitz willed the blood back from his cheeks. He received a splitting headache upon attempting to use his brain. I know this one night went with some nightmare or whatever, and I remember some other ponies named Fluttershy, Pinky, Applejack. Good. You might be able to access more of Rainbow Dash's memories that way. That should save you time on getting to know every pony. Wait, how am I remembering stuff I didn't do? Well, theoretically, you have the same brain as Rainbow Dash, and therefore the same information stored in it. I guess you just aren't familiar with all of it. It's magic. This is a fanfiction, and I'm no neurologist. Amazing. He deadpanned, suddenly less interested than he thought he was. How long was I out? About an hour and a half, she replied, closing a book. And now that you're up, we can discuss your, situation over lunch. Blitz looked around the room to find a table set up with sandwiches and a bowl of salad. They got lunch ready while I was passed out on the floor? He thought, almost upset. Did they even care? However, any indignation he felt quickly vanished upon hearing his stomach. I haven't eaten since ever. He walked over to the table and took a seat next to Spike, across from the mayor's. Every pony ate in silence for a few minutes. Blick was about to inhale his third sandwich when Twilight spoke up. So, it seems like you, she motioned at Blitz, are a product of Rarity's duplication spell. It must have hit Dash here when she crashed through the windows. Dash glanced at her clone. So, why is he, a cult? All eyes fell on Twilight. Well, the spell should create a very close replica of the object, or in this case, pony, it's used on. I can only assume Rarity just didn't cast it well. It's a complicated spell after all. I doubt I would even be able to cast it perfectly. Hear that, Blitz? You're lucky to be alive. Hear that, Blitz? You're lucky to be alive. Dash laughed with her defense mechanism cockiness. Blitz choked on the sandwich. But I'm healthy, right? I won't, blow up or anything, right? Twilight brought her hoof to her chin in actual thought. Rainbow Dash's laugh turned a bit more nervous. Right? I wouldn't worry about it too much. Rarity is a talented unicorn. She sure is, Spike interrupted. And I would have noticed if you were missing a few chromosomes. The two Pegasus looked at her, expecting an explanation. She pouted. You could look it up. We are in a library? Rainbow Dash felt a lecture coming on and didn't feel that her clone's first day should be spent learning. Actually, Twilight, we should go take care of the weather. Yep, a whole lot of weather. Come on, Blitz. She nodded, her head to the door hurriedly. He missed the hint, as colts often do, and dug deeper. But I want to know if I'm missing a chromosome. Dash flew over to him and started pushing him out the door. Sorry, no time. She leaned forward and whispered to his ear, No, you don't. Then made it out the door. Thanks for everything, Twi. See you later. Twilight followed them out and shouted, Try not to tell any pony about this, all right? One of them waved a hoof affirmatively back before they were out of earshot. Spike still sat on the table, enjoying his lunch. Well, that was weird. He took a bite out of his salad and looked up to find Twilight looking angrily down at him. You, medical encyclopedia. Now, she said sternly. Aww. But what if I'm missing a chromosome? Blitz yelled as he followed Dash higher into the clouds. Then we'll buy you a new one. Trust me, you do not want to sit and read one of Twilight's science books. I'm not even sure they use real words. She broke through the dark blanket covering Ponyville's sky and landed to survey the job. This is going to take forever, she mumbled. Blitz landed beside her to see for herself. From there, the sky looked like a snow-filled tundra with only Canterlot Mountains jutting from the plains. The sun shined above and removed the oppressive grayness they saw below. The immaculate hills seemed to extend far beyond the horizon. Who managed to buck up the weather this bad? He felt a familiar headache, and his vision darkened. Oh no, not again. This time, the vision was a tad less vague. He was lying on a low cloud, feeling cocky and carefree. On the ground stood Twilight, with what appeared to be an afro. She said something with a teasing grin. Hey, I could clear this guy in. Then he was back in reality. He looked down to see that he had not fallen. Rainbow Dash still looked dejectingly at the clouds before them. The image of her face blemished by sadness sent a lump down to his throat. It just didn't seem right to see her like that. Something had to be done. Perhaps words of encouragement? Oh, please, this is nothing. I know, but it'll be boring. Hey, I bet we could clear this guy in. Dash picked her head up to match his cocky smile and arched her eyebrows. They both shouted in unison, 10 seconds flat. A crater appeared in the bumpy tundra from the force of their takeoff. They swept through the clouds in a spiral around the crater. Ponies below didn't know what to make of the spectacle. Hurricane! One shouted. The sky is falling! Shrieked another. About time, said one of the ponies in the market. Rainbow's been slacking lately. Dash and Blitz flew beside each other, taking turns flying on the outside of their spiral. This created a dazzling rainbow double helix that tore through the sky. They exchanged glances through the wind that jabbed at their eyes. He's good, Dash thought. No pony else would be able to keep up with me at this pace. She then resisted the urge to face hoof midair. Of course he's good, Rainbow Dash. He's you. Needless to say, the job took longer than 10 seconds. However, even the dirtiest of skies could not withstand 2 Rainbow Dashes for long. Celestia's sun was soon allowed to fully grace Ponyville with its presence. A few cheers erupted from the ground, the citizens of Ponyville apparently enjoying their free light show. Both the Pegasi path soon straightened out as they slowed down to a comfortable glide. That was pretty good for your first flight, Dash laughed. Thanks. You're not half bad yourself, Blitz replied. Well, we better go check in with the Weather Patrol headquarters in Cloudsdale. Rainbow Dash said as she adjusted their course towards the floating city in the distance. And see if I'm not fired for being late, she mentally added. Blitz thought for a moment and realized that he did not have a job, or a home, or any working knowledge of Equestria, aside from a brief glance through a blurry mental image. Hey Dash, are they hiring? Mental light bulbs were activated and Rainbow Dash perked up a bit. Blitz, I have a plan. A cart filled with letters and documents squeaked along the cloudy road. The driver held a face that would have screamed humdrum if it weren't so damn humdrum. Fluorescent lights, along with the sound of bored desk workers and quills of scrolls, effectively created what could only be described as an office atmosphere. Chief Sunrise sat in his office looking over the day's report. He had a rare condition in which his mane and brightly colored coat did not match his temperament. His sky blue hair and blonde mane greatly conflicted with the cigar in his mouth and the perpetual frown upon his face. On his flank sat a sun partially obscured by two clouds. However, his employees would attest to the fact that he was in no way sunny. Sunrise had to explain to everypony he meant that it represented being punctual, not cheery. Chief? Sunrise's timid secretary peeked through his door. Rainbow Dash is here to see you. Send her in, he roared. A cigar flew out of his mouth and flew through the cloudy floor. Far below Cloudsdale lay a patch of land which no grass grew. The secretary boiled a pipe. The secretary bolted from the door with a yelp. Moments later, Rainbow Dash and her clone were in the chief's office. Hey, Chief, how's it going? Dash said with a nervous smile. You know very well how it's going, Miss Dash, he boomed, wincing and clutched the back of his neck. Sighing, he lit another cigar. The skies of Ponyville's were cleared hours late, Miss Dash. Hours. Hey, I'm not the one who screwed up in the first place, she said indignantly. Farms all over the place will be up my flank about their damned plants. This is unacceptable. He stopped to catch his breath. He was getting a little too old for this. He looked at Blitz, standing uncomfortably beside Dash. And who are you? Blitz jumped at the voice now directed him. I'm, Rainbow Blitz. Dash glanced at him, nodding her head toward Sunrise, who looked about ready to order Blitz's execution. You see here, Dash here went twisting her wing this morning, right before she went to clear the skies. Dash feigned pain in her wing for effect. She had to rest for a while, so I took over the weather for her. Took me a while to find the Pegasus free for the job, the mayor added. Sunrise's face was unimpressed at the excuse. Uh-huh. So tell me, Rainbow Blitz, why did I hear that there were 2 Pegasi putting on a show in Ponyville Sky today? The Scion ponies froze. They hadn't thought that anyone would go and report that to the weather headquarters, especially so recently after the show. Well, you see, Blitz stammered. Sunrise was almost certainly picking which axe he was going to use to decapitate him. Then he remembered the rainbow failsafe. Brag. I just flew so fast that it looked like there were 2 of me. He grinned sheepishly. It's my special trick. Dash face hooked. Sunrise was still not amused. Every pony went silent for what seemed like hours. Sunrise would not take his cold eyes off the Pegasus. Crap, thought Dash. I'm fired. Crap, thought Blitz. I'm dead. Finally, the business pony spoke. Okay, Mr. Blitz. I don't know who you are or what you can do, but we obviously need a little help in the Ponyville area. How would you like to join the Weather Patrol? At first, all he could do was a frantic nod. However, another glance made short work of his gesture of enthusiasm. Yes, sir, Blitz said quickly. Good. Go see my secretary for paperwork. Blitz excitedly exited the office. And Miss Dash. Not Mrs. Dash. That would be silly. We're not even cooking. Next time you get injured, please call us so we can send a qualified substitute. Her mouth hung open. I'm not fired? Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. She dashed out. Ha! Of the smoky office to find her clone. Junior Weather Patrol Pony? Blitz cried, reading his certificate. A pair of flight goggles sat on his head next to a complimentary quill behind his ear. From the outskirts of Cloudell, you could see Ponyville in the distance. Who's the senior? Heh, Dash laughed next to him. That would be me. She nudged his shoulder with a hoof. Looks like I'm your boss. I seem to be doing pretty well for a filly. Blitz snorted. Whatever. I'll leave you in the dust any day, boss. He spat, stowing his belongings wherever it is ponies store things. Is that so? How about a race then, big shot? Rainbow Dash produced her own goggles and placed them over her eyes. You read my mind, Blitz grinned, adjusting his goggles. Where? Dash looked to the distant Ponyville to find a landmark. Ah, that barn over there. Cool, he replied, approaching the edge of their cloud. Ready? Ready. He took an exaggerated, competitive stance. Set. They exchanged glances. The tension filled the air. Some ponies stopped what they were doing to find the source of the tension. Crying babies suddenly calmed down in their strollers, only the wind blowing. Every pony's hair dared to make a sound. Silence. Go! They shouted as one. The bystanders cheered as two rainbow trails sped off into the horizon. There was scarcely 3 feet between them as they ripped through the sky, neither gaining any distance that was not won back in mere seconds. Come on! Why is he so good at this? Why is she so good at this? The Pegasi decided to engage in a stunt contest amidst their race. They made tight turns around stray clouds, and each threw a loop for the hay of it. It almost seemed like a practiced routine to the bystanders. Money exchanged hooves back in Cloudsdale. Every pony wanted to see what would be called the flight of the century. Soon the racers were about halfway to their goal. They could start to make out a few individual trees on the ground. All right, Blitz, let's see if you remember this one. Dash pumped her wings harder and picking up speed. What's she up to? Blitz thought. He mirrored her movements, and they were again side by side. The air seemed to push back at them. They grunted with effort and pushed forward. Come on, come on. The barrier before them narrowed into a cone. What the hell is going on? Blitz panicked and pushed harder. Almost. The air that once threatened to repel the racing Pegasi seemed to just give up the fight. It released a defeated crack, as if screaming in frustration. Ponyville was glazed with an encounter from the afternoon. Ponies could look to the sky to find a thick rainbow ring with twin trails flying towards them. What is that? One said in awe. Oh my gosh, it's a double rain. Another almost replied when she heard a growling yell. Yeah! A blackbird collided with the interrupted pony. She found herself sprawled on the ground in a cloud of dust. Though it shot a two-toed foot that stepped centimeters from her snout, the dust cleared to reveal a large bird with a long neck staring angrily at her. We are not, you hear me, not, making that reference. Got it? But it's a double. No, it's not. Shut up. Okay, I'm sorry. Please don't hurt me. The pony threw up her hooves to protect her face from the insane bird. Good. The bird hastily sped off into the forest. The ponies stared incredulously at the shrieking figure. What the hell was that? Oh yes, that just happened. Back in the skies, two Pegasi had just broken the sound barrier and were now very close to their goal. A single cloud hung over the target barn. It was wordlessly agreed that the cloud would be their finish line. We'll burst right through that if we don't slow down. But I can't slow down, or else she'll win. Unfortunately, the racers opted to simply reach the cloud, as opposed to destroying it. Moments before the impact, they twisted their bodies to hit the plush cloud with their backs. Every pony knows what happens when you hit a cloud. Fireworks went off in Cloudsdale suburbs. Toasts were shared in bars. Friendships were strengthened, and relationships were rekindled thanks to the dramatic display by two mysterious rainbow racers. Okay, no pony cared that much. They sort of just stopped to look for a bit. But still, the two new quasi-celebrities were still recovering from their crash. They had knocked the top off the cloud clean off. They had knocked the top half of the cloud clean off, making a convenient platform for them to flop down on. Their heads faced the sky, allowing them to see the single lingering lightning bolt shooting up from the cloud. Had there been any difference in their times, two bolts would have floated above them. However, it seemed the flight of the century was a tie. Dash rolled onto her stomach, panting. That was so awesome, Blitz finished, almost struggling to catch his breath. They rested there for several minutes, regaining control over their limbs. Dash found herself questioning her abilities for a moment. Her skills had never been matched like that before, but those thoughts were quickly discarded. He's a clone of me. I'm still the fastest. Just so is he. She glanced up at the now fading production of their race. She closed her eyes, smiling. I can live with that. Something was rustling her mane. She dismissed it as being the wind and set her head back down on a soft cloud, instinctively rubbing her cheeks against it to get comfortable. Except it didn't feel much like a cloud. Blitz was lying on his back, resting his head on his left hoof. It's kinda nice here. I got a job, met a few ponies, and didn't blow up yet. He moved his right hoof to his stomach, except it met an obstacle. Curious, he ran his hoof up and down the object, trying to figure out what it was without having to lift his head. Then he felt something against his chest. Their eyes burst open, but jerked his head to find Rainbow Dash barely half a foot from his face. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I'm petting her mane. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I'm lying on top of him. She's lying on top of me. He's petting my mane. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Every siren in their head was going off. Every mental loudspeaker screamed, abort, abort. However, they could not bring themselves to move. Color rushed to their faces. Had there been any strength in their wings, they certainly would have unfurled. The Pegasi simply lied there for a few moments. That would have felt awkward had either of them been able to feel anything. Dash's brain was the first to recover her wits from the surprising cuddle. She observed that Blitz's head had fallen back onto the cloud, yet his face remained red in shock. His hoof still ran through her mane. Brushy, brushy. How did this happen? Dash thought. He crashed onto the cloud, and then I... She stopped her train of thought as she recalled the preceding events. I rolled on top of him, full of it. She allowed her head to relax again. Whatever, I'm not embarrassed. It's not like I meant it or anything. She twisted her body to place her back against Blitz and her hooves behind her head to emphasize just how nonchalant she wanted to seem. I could care less. Blitz watched his counterpart adjust her position, not daring to change his until the movement stopped. His hoof came to rest on her stomach. He gulped and suppressed the urge to shake. Okay, whatever. She's just chilling on top of me. No big deal. I'll just, He brought his left hoof down to lock with his other until his forelegs wrapped around Dash. Alright, now what? Both bodies radiated comfortable warmth that made it difficult for them to remain awake. Their pounding heartbeats dealt with the problem quite nicely. Despite their sudden apathy, both Pegasi sported a crimson hue on their face that would have gone well with the orange and yellow of the now setting sun. They may have spent the night in that position had nothing jerked them out of their embrace. A powerful snap sounded below them, activating the pony's instincts to tense up. However, in their position, this only brought them closer. This, in turn, activated another, less rational instinct. They yelped and rolled to opposite sides of the cloud, pretending to be much more interested in the sound than in discussing the meaning of their snuggling. Dash poked her head out over the forest and spotted an orange earth pony standing over a fallen tree. "It was just a tree," Dash snorted, stepping from the cloud's edge. "Oh, okay," Blitz replied as he turned to her. Neither would meet each other's eyes. "Rainbow," came a voice under them. "What are y'all doing up there? It's a bit late for a nap, don't you think?" Dash glared behind her, then back to her clone. "Hey, Blitz, want to mess with Applejack?" Blitz grinned and then shrugged. "Sure, why not?" "I swear, that Pegasus is lazy as all get out," thought Applejack. "How can she call herself an athlete if she's got to go right to sleep after doing anything?" The pony launched from the cloud above the barn and streaked off to Ponyville. Applejack pouted as she watched it speed away. "Where do you think you're going, Dash? I was talking to you." A hoof poked her on the shoulder. Who are you talking to?" Applejack's head jerked to the source of the poke. Next to her stood Rainbow Dash, trying and failing to hold back her giggles. Applejack recoiled at the sight and fell back on her rump. She stared in the sky, but could not find what she thought to be Rainbow Dash. "How do y'all do that?" Rainbow Dash was in awe on her face. "You're fast, but you're not that fast." Dash brought her hoof to her chest, pretending to be offended. "Not that fast." "Me? Do you know who you're talking to?" She flapped her wings and crouched low to the ground. "Watch this." She proceeded to bolt off into the forest. The moment she was no longer visible, blue hooves covered Applejack's eyes. Applejack, somewhat surprised, Dash had clearly gone the other direction. Yet she ended up behind the earth pony. Muffled snickers came from behind her. "All right, I get it. You're fast. Mind getting your hooves off my face?" She pulled the hooves off her eyes, only to find Dash sitting several feet in front of her, waving. Applejack frowned, still holding the hooves of whoever was behind her. Applejack turned slowly and found another scion Pegasus with a rainbow mane hovering over her head. She then recoiled again, this time backing into a tree and falling forward on her stomach. The Pegasi walked over to her, laughing loudly. "Okay," said Blitz. "That was hilarious." He offered Applejack a hoof. She blew a strand of hair off of her face she blew a strand of hair off of her face and pulled herself up. She examined the coat cautiously. Rainbow, who's this?" Blitz heard Twilight's warning echo through his head. "Oh, I just transferred. Ugh. Oh, I just got transferred here from Clowndale. His eyes shot around for ideas. Alas, there was nothing but apple trees in sight. "I'm Red Gala. Yeah, Red Gale." Both mares shared a glance. "All right," said Applejack. "But who is he really?" How did you... Blitz tried to question her before Dash covered his mouth. "This," Dash said, "is Rainbow Blitz. Rarity made him for me." Applejack stared at her, expecting an explanation. "She made him, Sugar Cube?" "Mm-hmm. Turns out you can clone ponies." She nudged Blitz's shoulder. "And they don't even blow up. Isn't that right, Blitzy?" She started to laugh. Blitz said nothing and simply stared at Applejack, wide-eyed. Applejack tilted her head. Dash, I think your clone's broken." Applejack walked up to him and waved a hoof in front of his face. His gaze was still locked where Applejack was standing before. After a few quiet moments, he fell to the ground, clutching his head. Both mares waited for him to say something. Finally, he sighed and said, "Ow." Dash patted his back with a smirk. Chin up, Blitzy. Now that you know all about Asia here, like how you aren't gonna get past her with a half-length story like that. Applejack had enough of these shenanigans. No pony was explaining anything. Would some pony please tell me what the hey is going on here? The Pegasi gathered themselves and walked with Applejack to her main barn. They explained everything they knew about the cloning and what had been done over the course of the day. So we booked it to Ponyville, said Blitz, and there was like this much space between us. Then I started to pour on some extra speed, Dash continued, to pull off my sonic rainbow, right? And this guy, he copies my moves. Yep, Blitz added, sporting Rainbow Dash's knowledge of the Apple family. Then we crashed into that cloud back there at the speed of sound, which made a huge lightning bolt. He gestured with his hooves as if to convey a large explosion. It was awesome. Did you see it? Applejack nodded her head slightly. Yeah, Blitz, I saw it. I was there. Anyway, what were y'all doing up there for so long? The Pegasi averted their eyes and let out a simultaneous, Applejack smiled and shook her head. Never mind. Tain't none of my business what you doing up on Cloud 9 there. No, Dash stammered. Nothing like that. We were just... She trailed off. Blitz picked up for her. She, had to make sure I was okay. I saw the sonic rainbow and passed out from the memories. His muzzle scrunched up, and his eyes shot around the trees around them. Applejack studied him for a moment, then turned to Dash and smirked. Your boyfriend is cute when he lies. Rainbow Dash's face turned almost as red as Blitz's. Oh, no. We're not. Now, Applejack interrupted. No need to hide anything from me. I'm your friend, remember? And I guess I'm your friend too, Blitz. Alright, Blitz thought. 2 friends. Super. I just gotta ask that you 2 control yourselves on my farm. Can't have Apple Bloom coming to me and asking why y'all 2 were wrestling. Blitz grunted. We weren't doing anything. Alright. Whatever you say, Sugar Cube. Applejack still wore a smile that said, you 2 were getting it on, and you are hilarious when you tell me otherwise. The pony soon approached Applejack's door. Well, it sounds like y'all have been through a lot today. You 2 want to come in for a spell? Nothing helps me unwind like some nice cider. We might have a few pints in the cellar. Blitz licked his lips. That sounds good to me, as long as I don't need to remember any pony else today. Applejack nodded and pushed the door open. It swung to reveal the barrel of a cannon with a fuse behind it, burning fast. She dove to the side, leaving Blitz enough time to yelp before being engulfed in confetti. For being decorated by an artillery piece, Applejack's barn looked quite festive. Some pastries sat on the embellished tables along with a massive bowl of punch. The table made great obstacle for the pink earth pony to hide behind while being chased around the room by Applejack. Pinkie Pie! Applejack shouted as she grabbed a tray of baked goods, ready to pelt them at her. What did you do to my barn? Pinkie Pie giggled and ducked under a thrown cupcake. What does it look like, silly? I'm throwing a party for Blitzy. Dash, who was busy dragging her unconscious clone, turned her head to Pinkie. How did you know about my clone? Pinkie ducked under the table and reappeared beside Dash. Come on, Rainbow. Do you really think a new pony in town could hide from my pinky sense? She grabbed one of Blitz's forelegs and helped sit him down on a haystack. She then caught Applejack's neck cupcake with her hoof without looking and shook it in front of Blitz's nose. Come on, Blitzy. You can't fall asleep at your own party. Unless it's a sleepover. You should probably go to sleep during a sleepover, but no pony ever does. It's no fun to go to sleep. You just stay up all night and then sleep the next morning when the party's over. But the party's not over yet, Blitzy, so you gotta wake up. Rainbow Dash managed to control her laughter as Pinkie blabbed and smearing icing all over Blitzy's face. All right, Pinky, that's enough. He'll wake up soon. If I were you, I'd be more worried about Applejack right now. Pinky tilted her head. Why would I be worried about Applejack? She wouldn't do anything with Fluttershy standing over there. Dash and Applejack became puzzled, searching the room. Sure enough, a butter-colored Pegasus hid behind a pink mane sat in the corner, brushing her front hoof on the floor and trying to blend in with the wood. It was kind of hard, being bright yellow and all. Applejack smiled sheepishly mid-toss and set the plate of cupcakes down. Sorry about that, Fluttershy. I know you don't like fighting and all. No, I understand. We did break into your barn. Pinky appeared beside her, wrapping her arm around her neck. To throw the bestest, coziest welcome to Ponyville/birthday party ever! I guess that's the new pony then. Fluttershy motioned to the sleeping colt. Rainbow Dash nodded. Yeah, this is my clone. This is Rainbow Blitz. My clone. Clone? Fluttershy said, confused. Yes, clone Fluttershy. Ha ha. Rainbow Dash sighed. Hey, Pinky, are Twilight and Rarity coming? The pink pony nodded ecstatically. The pink pony nodded enthusiastically. Good. I don't think I feel like going over this again. She turned to Fluttershy. They'll be able to explain it better than I can. This time, Blitz hadn't passed out from the recoillation. He was knocked unconscious from the force of a cannon, going off at point-blank range. So, it was much better, having actually fallen asleep this time. Well, sort of. He was finally given control of his thoughts. After working through the pain of concussive force to the face, he calmly assessed the situation. What in the name of sweet Celestia's sister's solar salivation was that? Am I dead? Blitz looked back on the last thing he remembered and vaguely recalled seeing a poofy pink mane. We're going to go with the definition of poofy that doesn't involve sexual preference. Alright? Cool. Behind the barrel. Alright, who do I know that has a mane like that? His sleepy mind showed him images of a bright-colored earth pony doing various things that Rainbow Dash had apparently found hilarious. Pinkie Pie, you're so random. He heard his body say in a blurry dream. Okay, Pinkie Pie, Ponyville's party pony and prankster. Got it. The dream disappeared. What else have you got for me now that I'm here? He thought to no pony in particular. As if on cue, a soft voice echoed in his mind. Oh, I hope he's okay. Maybe I should go get my first aid kit. Gee, you think I'm probably bleeding all over the place, and this pony thinks I need first aid. Now, any mind with memories of this particular pony would be pretty ticked off to hear anyone say such things about her. So it flooded Blitz's functioning senses with everything it knew about her. Her soothing voice, her timid and kind personality. Well, now I feel bad. Fluttershy is one of Dash's oldest friends. The stare. What have I done? After some unconscious freaking out, Blitz got a hold of himself and went back to his recalling, seeing as he could do it now without too much pain, although that could simply be due to the distracting throb of his concussion. Alright, let's try the unicorn. Twilight, I think. His mind's eye was only met with a swirl of purple streaks and a bug. Well, that's a letdown. Then the image exploded into an angelic forest landscape with a big black and blue alicorn, some weird pony dragon bird thing that his mind identified as Discord, and about 50 changelings lying unconscious on the ground. A purple unicorn stood triumphantly on a hill looking them over. She seemed to be taking notes. Alright, Twilight. Sometimes a bad flank. So, who else is there to know? That first pony I saw when I was born. Maid. Whatever. Rarity was her name. Got anything on her? If Blitz's mind could have strung, it would have. It threw some pictures of a dress Rarity had made for Dash, and Blitz began to feel grateful. However, it then allowed him to access all the time Dash had spent standing still wearing the stupidest hats and gowns while Rarity went about her sewing. Awesome. Now I'm bored. Maybe I can wake up soon. Blitz reached out to his senses, trying to come to. He noticed a gooey substance on his nose. Curious, he attempted to smell it and heard himself breathing for the first time since he was knocked out. He's waking up! Blitzy, wake up! An energetic voice cried out. Control yourself, Blitz, he thought to himself. You aren't allowed to hit mares. Prickly probably didn't even mean to knock you out. Pinky, why are you calling him that? Asked a raspy voice that sounded like a mouthful of food. I don't know. You do it. No, I don't. Why would I even? A southern drawl chimed in. Sugar cube? Yeah, you do. No, I don't. And wipe that look off your face. Snickers and sounds of struggles came from feet away. Blitz gradually began to feel a hoof brushing the side of his head. Hello? The voice was probably the quietest and shyest voice any pony could imagine. I'm sorry, but you've been asleep for almost half an hour, and I need to make sure you know your name and everything. If that's okay with you, I mean. She trailed off. Her soothing voice and gentle touch were probably the worst things to use when waking some pony up. But Blitz wasn't about to disagree with the voice. Fluttershy? Blitz choked out with his eyes flickering open. Oh dear, that's not your name. You might have a severe head injury. We should get you to the hospital and... I know who I am. I was asking who you are. He lifted his head and saw the buttery Pegasus with a stethoscope around her neck. Oh, well, yes, I'm Fluttershy. How did you know? Twilight said you had to see a pony to get the memories of them. Well, I guess Twilight doesn't know everything about clones then. He winced as he felt around the bruises on his head. I had to talk with my brain to get some information on all of you. Apparently, Rainbow Dash thinks you're a very nice pony. And I'm sorry. Sorry? Fluttershy cocked her head to the side. For what? Nothing. He looked around the room to see Applejack and Rainbow Dash biting on the floor. Twilight and Rarity were standing around the table, watching the spectacle and talking. Pinkie Pie was trotting around the room, checking on every pony all too frequently. Blitz sighed and got to his hooves slowly, despite Dr. Fluttershy's protest. I'll be fine. He licked the crusted frosting off his face. I also need to eat a few of those. He cantered over to the wrestling ponies and cleared his throat. The mares noticed him and pushed off of each other. Applejack was totally winning. Hey there, sleepyhead. Feeling all right? The party's... Oh, crap, wrong voice. Hey there, sleepyhead. Feeling all right? The party's evident host adjusted her. Wait. That's confusing. Oh, crap. The party's evident host adjusted her hat and noticed something on Nicole's face. Oh boy, you got yourself quite a lump there, don't you? Does it hurt? Dash started to push her off of the way. Let me see. Where? Applejack pointed with her full roof. Right there, see? On his forehead. No, I can't see anything. You're covering it. It's right there. Move your hoof. The colt stepped back. No, fillies. There's plenty of me to go around, he said with a grin. Then he quickly turned his eyes to the floor to inspect his hooves. Why did I just say that? The mares separated and looked at him. Applejack gave Blitz the look mares give to stallions when they say something stupid or chivalrous. Dash, however, blushed and turned her head, mirroring the stallion. Applejack laughed at their expression. Come on, you two. We're on my barn, remember? Control yourselves. The two unicorns watched as the scion Pegasuses as they voiced their disapproval, each carrying with them a small bag around their necks. Twilight was babbling about the magic and biology involving cloning, and Rarity was unable to pretend to care about that for much longer. Twilight, that's very interesting, and I'm sure you've done extensive research, but will you please answer my question? The purple pony shifted uncomfortably. She had been trying to delay this particular topic, but she wasn't about to lie to her friend. She was sure that friendship. She was sure there was a friendship report that advised against it. Well, I guess I would be able to do the spell on some pony. I read the notes the book you gave me, and it wouldn't be the hardest spell I've done. Actually, I already tried it a few times when I left the library. She floated 2 shiny cylinders out of her bag and placed them on the table. Each had a faint letter engraved on each end, N on one side and S on the other. Rarity examined them. They appeared to be exactly the same. Are these duplicates? Twilight nodded. Yes, they are functionally the same in almost every way. It would probably be impossible to create an exact copy. Something's bound to set them apart. In this case, there isn't too much to mess up. Rarity rubbed her chin. How close will Rainbow Dash and Blitz be? Like I said, they won't be exactly the same. It also depends on the focus and ability of the magician. Since you weren't really focusing on cloning a pony, they probably won't be too close. They're probably not in practice when it comes to difficult. You're probably not in practice when it comes to difficult magic like that too. Not that you aren't talented or anything. It's just that this is complicated stuff. I would imagine that a majority of their similarities are their appearances and behavior. Ponies are a little more complicated than these 2 cylinders. I would guess that distant cousins would be a closer to them genetically. The 2 cylinders started to roll towards each other on the flat table. When they met, they snapped to each other. When they met, they snapped onto each other, with the N touching the S. Rarity appeared perplexed. How are they doing that? Are they magnetic? Well, yes, but they behave very strangely. They seem to stick together regardless of what side the magnets are touching. Twilight floated them in the air and twisted them around. They snapped again, this time with both ends in contact. It seems there's some sort of force acting between them that's at least equal to an electromagnetic force. The white unicorn frowned at thought. She wasn't really an intellectual, but the science involved was simple enough for her to understand. That's very odd. Her eyes came to rest on the other duplicates in the room. They surrounded a plate of brownies and were in the process of stuffing them in their mouth. What do you suppose that means for them? Twilight started to rub the back of her neck. They could have an actual attraction to each other like a magnet would, or it could be more symbolic. Symbolic? Twilight? Yeah, sort of like how hexes and whatnot work. You stick a pin in the doll head, and the pony it represents can't think straight. Magic reacts slightly different to ponies than it does to objects. So here, they would be attracted to one another, or be, attracted to one another. The student blushed at her words. It was one of the few subjects she preferred not to read about. How attracted will they be? Well, these things are pretty easy to pull apart. She tested the cylinders again. They came apart without too much effort. It might not be all that strong with them, but I don't know if it's the same with every pony. The attraction might be enough to push them together. Rarity smiled and laughed quietly. Good for them, then. Twilight stared, almost disgusted at her cherry friend. Good? They have no say in the matter. What if they're not happy? What if it pushes them to be together, even if they don't want to be? The Pegasi in question were by an array of cups filled with punch. They both reached for the same cup and brushed their noses together. They promptly jerked back and looked at each other for a moment. Then they searched the room to see if anyone else had seen. Rarity had, but had turned back to Twilight before they could notice. I don't think we have to worry about that. On a side note, would it really be such a bad thing to have a pony picked out for you? Celestia knows I've made some questionable choices on that topic in the past, and I can think of a few ponies in this room that don't get out quite enough to be meeting ponies. Her eyes came to rest on the unicorn before her, who turned her head with a Rarity surprisingly suppressed a snicker. She was having all too much fun pushing every pony's buttons today. Anyway, the feeling's mutual, right? Well, yeah, but Twilight couldn't really think of anything to say. The ponies in her stories that made love potions had always been the bad guy. She never really had to apply any thought to as to why. Then they're both happy, Rarity declared triumphantly. Twilight pounced. It's still not right, she said, slumping and folding her forelegs. Maybe she wasn't thinking of. So when can we all come over? Rarity asked casually. Full of a... Okay, act oblivious. Come over for what? Twilight inquired. Why, for cloning the rest of us, of course. Come on, Twilight. I know you're smarter than that. No! She shouted too quickly, earning a few looks from the rest of her friends. She shrunk down to practically hide behind the table and continued in a low whisper. I mean, why would I want to do that? Moreover, why do you think they would want to do that? That's just so... She fumbled over the right words. Rarity moved to her side. Well, I certainly can't do it. Anyway, we'll discuss it later. Right now I need to join the party. I still need to properly welcome our guest. The unicorn migrated across the room to join the other 5 near the food. With little room to dance, the ponies resorted to gorging themselves with baked goods. Much better than dancing, in my opinion. Dash and Blitz were in the middle of telling Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy about their race. Pinkie listened in awe that may or may not have been faked to their exaggerated summary. Rarity interrupted Blitz when he was emphasizing just how awesome he was. Rainbow Blitz, darling, how are you? He turned his head to see her. Oh, hey, I'm fine, thanks. Want to hear about this stunt Dash and I pulled? Perhaps later. Right now I've got some business to take care of. Business? Yes, you see, I was cleaning up my destroyed shop. She looked at Dash. I tried to help you clean up, she retorted. Rarity ignored her and moved on. When I had the most horrible realization. Blitz's eyes grew wide, and everypony leaned in to listen. All right, here it comes. Blitz, you will blow up in 2 hours. You haven't a single thing to wear. The collective sounds of sighs and rolling eyes was quite overwhelming. Some wanted to hug some pony for giving no bad news, but others wanted to strangle some pony for being so melodramatic. Blitz released a breath that he may very well have been holding all day and wiped some sweat off his forehead. Please, do not do that. Ever again. Rarity laughed. You're all no fun. Anyway, I don't quite have the time or resources to fashion a dignified garment for you. However, I managed to pick up something I'm sure you'll enjoy. Her horn glowed and a small rectangular box floated from her bag. You didn't have to do anything for me, he said, snatching it from the air too eagerly to match his words. He carefully tilted the lid back to peek inside. A bright light streaked out from under it, and his face took on a look of awe that one would associate with opening the Ark of the Covenant. Get it? Covenant? Am I good or what? It's... Blitz started. Pinkie began to jump in place. Ooh, what is it? What is it? It's... Come on, take it out. It's... Consarn it, Blitz. Rainbow Applejack snapped, tapping her hooves on the table. Open the dang box. He slowly dropped the box onto the ground under the table, placing his face right behind it. His hooves reached inside and brought out the box's contents to his eyes. After a nice dramatic pause, Blitz's head emerged, sporting a pair of sleek black sunglasses. It's awesome, he exclaimed, practically shaking with glee. Every pony else laughed at his foolish excitement. Thank you so much, Rarity. Rarity dismissed the praise smugly with a wave of her hoofs. No problem at all, Blitz, although we should really get you fitted for a suit. I'm thinking something white with a striped tie, maybe some blue cufflinks, a handkerchief. She trailed off. Wait! Rainbow Dash shouted, fumbling with the invisible cartoon pockets. Fumbling with the invisible pocket cartoons have. I have an idea. She pulled out the famous Dash shades out of Hammerspace and placed them over her eyes. She took a seat next to her clone and raised her glasses above her eyes, with the most intense casual nod. Blitz quickly did the same, turning slightly in the other direction. Attention, Internet. Maximum swag has been achieved. Carry on. Pinky managed to snap a picture of the coolest moment in history with a camera before both Pegasi cracked up laughing. Blitz threw a friendly foreleg around Rainbow Dash as they posed for a few more pictures before continuing the party. The party had begun to die down, much to the disappointment of a certain pink pony. Unfortunately, not all ponies are granted infinite energy and enthusiasm. The Rainbow Pegasi congressed by the door with the rest of the guests as Twilight droned on about magic and cloning. From the looks of things, it seems like you'll be able to remember things a bit easier when you're asleep. You got information on all of us now, right? Mm-hmm, mumbled Blitz with an undisguised apathy. If some pony were to stimulate your memories while you sleep, you might get all your knowledge back without too many headaches. Great, he replied, his eyelids beginning to fall. Dash could sense an air of boredom entering the room and decided it was time to get the buck out. Well, Pinky, this has been great, but I think it's time for me to head home. Blitz yawned. Yeah, me too. I'm beat. Where will you be staying, Blitz? Fluttershy asked. He glanced around at the eyes of everypony now looking at him with concern. He then looked at Dash with a sheepish smile. Fine, she groaned with a mock annoyance. I guess I can find space for you in my place. Applejack snorted. Find space? Rainbow Dash, your house is huge. Y'all wouldn't even notice if a pack of buffalo set up camp in your living room. They would just fall right through the floor, Twilight commented. Y'all know what I meant. Rainbow Dash laughed. It's not huge. It's just roomy. But sure, you can stay with me. I guess it's kind of my responsibility, since you're me after all. Blitz smiled gratefully. Thanks. I don't think I would like being homeless. They began to step out of the door. Bye, everybody, Rainbow Dash said behind her back. Yeah, thanks for everything, Blitz said following her. Rarity waved at two of them and sang, Have fun, you two. Have fun, you two. Not too much fun, mind you. You just met today. The door shut behind the blushing Pegasi as they took off with the stiff wing to the night sky. Was that really necessary? Of course it was, dear. Of course it was, dear, Rarity replied. They can manage just fine without you pushing them together. I'm not the only thing pushing them together. Isn't that right? The purple unicorn was about to talk back, but she noticed that the three others in the room were silently staring at her. What was it? Nothing, Applejack said. She bit her lip. Dash sure is having a nice time with her clone, ain't she? Makes you wonder what it's like, you know. Having a Twilight's glower cut her off. The unicorn surveyed the room to find Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie wearing guilty smiles of their own. I know what you're thinking, she said, narrowing her eyes. Fluttershy took on a somewhat less than hopeful smile. Well, will you? No. And then Pinkie Pie was up on her. That's not fair. That's not right. Please, she said, fluttering her eyelashes. No. Please, she squealed, leaning in closer. I said no. Pinkie Pie took a deep breath and made a third attempt. Please! Twilight snapped her hoof. No, nope, not doing it. We can't, I won't. It's wrong. Rarity brushed her hair back. Well, I can't imagine all of us safely. Well, I can't manage all of us safely, and I don't see any other magically inclined unicorns around. Nope, sorry, can't hear you. La 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 la. Twilight sang obnoxiously as she trotted out the door. Rarity sighed and looked to her dejected friend as their ears dropped. Don't worry, girls. We're more than capable of persuading her. I'll talk to her. Whoa, this place is huge. Our two rainbow Pegasi approached the cloudy door of an immaculate white house made of, clouds, and streams of liquid ran through the elaborate swirl's roof to the base of the house where it trickled down to the drain on the ground. Luna had not yet mastered light rainbow liquid at night. Silver moonlight was about to light up the horrendous stepping clouds that made up the walkway. The hazardous stepping clouds that made up the walkway. Sure, it was no problem for Pegasus, but it made things somewhat difficult while having friends of a flightless species over for dinner. Oh well, Dash wasn't the kind of pony to host guests in her home. Or she wasn't usually. Dash plucked her key out from the portal to the fourth dimension and turned the lock. Yeah, well, clouds are sort of cheap to produce, so I thought, why not? They stepped in to reveal a large, tall living room with all three furnishings. A table, a couch, and a chase lounge, all made up of some type of cloud, albeit a tad fluffier than the walls. Boxes lining the floors gave the impression of having recently moved in. In truth, Dash just didn't feel like decorating. Why put stuff up on the walls if they're already more or less organized in the box? An archway led to a small kitchen and some stairs spiraled towards the upper level. We've got some furniture in here, a little kitchen over there. Dash walked to the stairs, and a bedroom and a bathroom up there. I've only got one bed, so... Wait, now he thinks I'm inviting him to sleep with me. Am I? Would that be weird? Did she just... No, couldn't be. Silence overtook the room as they debated with themselves. Quick, Blitz, do something. Blitz waved a dismissing hoof and leapt onto the couch. He landed with his forelegs behind his head and his hind legs crossed. No problem. This will do just fine. Smooth as buck. While Blitz basked in all the comfort of the cloud couch and the despairing awkward silence, a green dome with a propeller hovered overhead. Blitz stared increasingly. Suddenly, the propeller dome froze, and the dome dropped onto Blitz's stomach, knocking the air from his lungs. When he inhaled enough to function again, he gasped, "Help, Dash! What is this thing?" She laughed and took a seat on the other end of the couch. "Oh, come on! You don't remember Tank?" Tank? The dome sprouted a wrinkly head and blinked with agonizing slowness and gazed into Blitz's eyes. He squinted, grimaced, and then covered his eyes. "Oh," he mumbled, gritting his teeth. "Tank." His expression softened as he knocked on the tortoise, damn it, shell. "What's up, buddy? How are things?" The tortoise blinked again and activated his propeller, ascending the staircase and disappearing down the hall. "Cool. See you later, Tank." He turned to Dash and scratched his head. "That was weird." "It's not like he can answer you or anything. Tank's pretty cool once you get to know him. He's probably just tired. Who knows where he's gotten to all day." "No, I mean, I saw him. I got a nice little replay of your pet competition." He massaged his wings with memories of a very heavy boulder. "Yeah, and..." She eyed him confused. "Well, I didn't get anything from seeing your own home." Oops. She shrugged. "Nothing all that important happens here, I guess. I don't even come here every night. Sometimes I just sleep outside close to Ponyville. Since I work there, eat there, nap there, all of that." She gestured to her furniture. "These are no different from weather clouds." Blitz nodded. "Makes sense. You think I'm safe from any headaches while here?" Unless I had a traumatic hoof stubbing that I forgot about, you should be fine." "Got it. Avoid lumpy cloud furniture." She snickered. The snickering continued. When they settled down, Blitz said, "So, what? You're supposed to talk to me in my sleep or something?" She shrugged again. "I don't know. I can't tell what Twilight's saying half the time. Do you think you can manage not hearing my life story tonight?" "I'll live. I think I can remember stuff on my own anyway." "On your own? How's that work?" "I kinda have no idea. When Pinkie Pie knocked me out, it was like I was talking to my brain. Or your brain. Whatever. I ask questions or give hints, and I get some memories. Cool. I'm glad you didn't tell Twilight that. She probably would have had you memorize a list of things to ask yourself. Myself. Whatever. They shared another laugh. Dash hopped on the couch. Alright, well, you know where everything is. We'll get up early for work, or maybe not so early. We'll see. She flew up the stairs. At the top, she shouted again. Good night. The light shut off. Good night, he called back. However, it did not seem quite loud enough to reach her in the dark. He rolled over on the couch and started going over the day again. The things he did, the ponies he met, etc. Despite their colorful personalities, Blitz got to experience throughout the day. One pony kept tagging his thoughts. Every pony has a mocking inner self that mercilessly attacks our insecurities. Blitz thought fit to speak up right then. You know you like her. No, I don't. She's just a lot like me. Or I'm a lot like her. I don't like her like that. Dude, you totally do. Shut up. How would you know? Dude, it's you talking right now. Shut up. I'm telling you I don't. Then why do you keep thinking about her? I'm supposed to get her memories so I don't pass out all the time. It was the lamest excuse I've ever heard. What? Just because I'm thinking about her, I have to be madly in love with her? I said like. No pony ever said anything about love. Well, I didn't at any rate. Shut up. I'm done with you. Good night. As he effectively slammed a metaphorical door in his nosy inner self, he pulled one of the couch's cushions overhead and waited for sleep. Alright, that was chapter 2 of Graphs. Hope you had a wonderful day. Bye.